realize the results. By the way, by the time your program is over, you already had a tremendous amount of drop off of students, and you did not even know. More importantly, you did not even know why they dropped off in first place. And that's the story of many organizations that we talk to all the time. So today we'll be talking you through a good, robust strategy, a six-step process, and you can see them in each of them in six separate chapters. You are welcome to skip them to new chapters if you think you want to keep revisiting some of the core topics and concepts. But this is going to be extremely practical and hands-on video that can be applied to any program organizations, and it will help you become do-it-yourself data driven. And I'll explain what do-it-yourself means. Essentially, it's a new way of how do you really design your program in a way that is based on the key goal of your organizations and what stakeholders are telling you, and then based on that you are actually creating a better strategy that is a data strategy that really is more nimble, more flexible, and scalable, that can be applied to every program in your organization. So stay tuned and just keep pausing, keep revisiting this video as many times you like. But as you can see on the screen, there are 6 stages that you can follow through to understand this process, and this process can be applied to practically any number of programs. So let's talk about key 6 steps. One is a data strategy, where you can think about data design, where it starts with the key goal. So in case of the example I gave earlier, youth program, where there is a new soccer program that you want to enroll, and you want to make sure that you are hiring people with a certain background, certain demographics who are likely to benefit from the program, and you collect the data from them about their interest, their economic background, and so on, and more importantly, their ability to participate in the program throughout the journey. And if they're going to drop off in the middle of it, you probably don't want to really give them a spot and give spot to somebody else. So with that in mind, let's say you're starting to collect the data. Traditionally, most people collect the data. They've developed some kind of strategy using log frame or theory change or the logic model, come up with the metrics, come up with the questions, and then they have data collection templates and tools that they give it out to different teams. Problem with this approach, obviously, is that it's a very time-consuming design. You took long time to design those things, and then people in the field don't really understand the data very well anyway, and so they collect the data as you ask them to. They bring the data. It takes a couple of months to even bring data back. By the time the data has come back, the program is almost over, and then you have no idea why those students really dropped off. So the whole idea behind the goal defining is to making sure that what's the most important data that you need to collect, and by focusing on that and getting you more real-time insights, you are now able to gather the data that is as fast as possible. The second step of the goal is to defining the context and forms, and that we will show some of those steps, which are pretty straightforward but very powerful steps. Essentially, it's a step where you define 360 degrees of all your data collection needs, starting with context. So context may be useful in enrollment of the program, and then where you want to see whether their confidence in the program or some other measurement or the grades or whatever that you want to collect, that can be part of the pre. And then mid is where you track midway progress of that individual, you get the feedback from the mentors and so on. And post and follow up, maybe post program, you do the analysis to see whether how things have improved or not improved, and essentially understand why there hasn't improved. In the whole entire process, 80% of time is typically spent on cleaning up the data by the team. So we'll talk about how do you reduce that time it takes to really reduce that clean data and making sure the data is clean at all the time, and data centralize it all the time, so you don't waste your time essentially aggregating the data when times comes to learning and improving part of process. We'll also talk about something very, very important, which is context. In the age of AI, you have now an ability to understand your um, stakeholders much, much better than ever before. And you can add why aspect, which is by combining qualitative, quantitative data. You can also further enrich through some kind of interview based approach and get much more deeper insights into the insights from maybe mentors or parents, or even in certain cases, even documents can be used to add the context as well. So that is a really a way to enhance your ability to understand the and enrich your context. And the process really is the same. Actually, it's the same data collection. You're just collecting different type of data, and AI is doing most of the work and giving you deeper insights. And that brings to the number five, where there are different ways AI can help by looking at the data for that particular document or interview, and you can pass it out, you can prompt it, and they can get insight and say, hey, is this person has a low confidence, mid confidence, high confidence, so that you know how to manage the programs. You can track that particular individual student's journey throughout pre, post, and follow-up process, and see how things are moving, and also bring other voices from mentors and other people who've been helping them. You can also extract the entire batch and see how the progress has been made, and the correlation between grades and the confidence level. Or you can have more comprehensive view of data, and we'll show some examples of report that you can generate. Maybe look at this in a more universal fashion, where you can look at these results on overall confidence and skill factor, opportunities where you can improve, an overall summary of that can be sent out to the funders. You could have reports where you can collect that and report in multiple languages, any languages you like. Essentially, any you can collect the data in any language as well. You can also aggregate the results to understand some of the insights. You can do the filters so that you can see how different changes are made from pre to mid to post. You can essentially look at the multivariant test to see how things have different type of factors are improving over the period of time, and you can make a more incremental changes. At the same time, ultimately, your goal is to get a unified view to see how peer networks are helping each other. So all these things are very useful in conveying and improving the process. Ultimately, that process will see how you can improve it using very simple prompting based approach, which can help you continuously learn and improve the program. It's a very easy to learn and improve, and if you follow this process and guideline, you will be able to literally do things in a continuous in a short period of time, with a small experiments. And we are guaranteeing that if you follow this process, you can not only reduce your time but significantly improve the outcome of your program. So I hope you tune in. We'll go into the next chapter on how to do these things in a more detailed fashions. Thank you.